A robust Thursday slate around the association that we preview for you now. And in fact, not just a large one, an international one on this Thursday that tips off early here stateside. A little bit after 2 p.m. Eastern time, the Indiana Pacers and the San Antonio Spurs from Paris. Yes, to Paris we go, where Victor Wembanyama, of course, will be involved in the showcase back in his home country to really welcome in the international series in the NBA. 3-point spread in favor of the Pacers. Over-under stands at 230. DRS, what do you expect for this game played over in Paris?
A lot of pageantry, but also you have to understand the fact of the matter is, like, Wembenyama is the showpiece. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win the game, but does he want to put on a good show? Absolutely. But you look at the total, 229 at the FanDuel Sportsbook, the opening number here in New Jersey. That's now up to 230. When you play in these neutral court environments for both teams, and they're not, hey, well, Wembenyama used to play. Yeah, that was a couple years ago. He used to play in France. They're not used to this time zone or this space at this point. I usually automatically lend myself to betting an under in this game is where we'll start. Pacers favored by 3, maybe the better basketball team, but there certainly is no home court advantage for either side here at this point. I would lean under in this environment.
Yeah, 230 is a pretty lofty number. You would expect the pace to be up. It should be high scoring for the Paris crowd, but it's also a new arena with different sight lines. These two will play once again on Saturday in Paris. Got to make the European adventure worth it. DRS, Indiana playing a lot better basketball as of late after a slow start to this season. Now 5 games above 500, 24-19, victorious in 8 of their previous 10. It still hasn't been an overly successful season for San Antonio. Losers of 3 in a row, and now 3 games sub 500 at 19-22. So that is 41 total games this year for the Spurs directly at their midway point. They've been booked as an underdog in the majority, 26 of 41, but not overwhelmingly so. 12-14 against the spread as a dog. They are catching 3 points. We mentioned Wemby as the showcase back in his homeland. And the props expect him to have a big day in front of what should be a favorable crowd. 27.5 for his points prop, 11.5 rebounding prop. Over has the juice as it does for 3.5 blocks. How big of a day will the big man have in front of that Paris crowd?
You can't guarantee points because you're going to have an off night shooting. But the one thing you can guarantee is he's going to be amped up. So you look at that rebound number, 11.5. I tend to go over there. Same thing with the blocks at 3.5. He is going to be active up and down this court. You just can't guarantee the points. If you sat down, do you think he's going to get 28 points or more? Probably so. But betting-wise, I'd rather take the rebounds and also the blocks more than the points because that's just hustle plays from a guy that's bigger than everybody on the court.
DRS, I mentioned how Indiana has won 8 of their last 10. They have covered in all 8 of those victories. We often think of the Pacers as living up to their name in playing with tempo and scoring a ton. A lot of their totals early in the year and last season, 235, 240 plus. Actually under now in 8 of those last 10 games as well. Let's get to a historic rivalry in the NBA that doesn't quite have that juice anymore. Second leg of a back-to-back for the Celtics on the road in Los Angeles. A change of venue now in downtown LA as they take on the Lakers at Crypto.com Arena. Lakers a 5-point home dog, total of 219. The Celtics, second leg of a back-to-back, DRS, did go to overtime last night to beat the Clippers 117-113. LA did cover as a 12-point dog. I've talked about how the Celtics favored in 42 of 44 games, only 17-24-1 against the number now. A double-digit dog in 29 of those 42 booked as the favorite. How close is tonight between the Lakers and the C's?
Yeah, Celtics won last night, missing a couple starters themselves, but also multiple starters for the Clippers here. Still a nice win, but they are on a back-to-backs, as we said, different arenas, but the same city. The Lakers have been resting and waiting for them. There were 5.5s across the marketplace this morning. They're all now gone, including the FanDuel Sportsbook now, showing the -5. There are 4.5 starting to creep in. I tend to take the Lakers. I always like spots where a team isn't as rested as the other one, home court. And you know the Lakers, not the greatest team this season, but there are times that they can rise to the occasion. As long as Anthony Davis and LeBron James are rested and ready, we should get a pretty good outcome. And quite frankly, you don't even necessarily have to win that game. I'll take the Lakers and the points tonight at home in Crypto.com Arena.
Still fifth best record right now for LeBron and the Lake Show at 23-18 in the Western Conference. They've only been a dog 18 times this year. They are even 9-9 against the spread in terms of that 6 outright victories. Milwaukee was postponed in their game yesterday in New Orleans because of snow. The Bucks were probably like, all right, man, a little bit of snow, whatever. The Bucks back at home tonight hosting the Miami Heat, who, of course, will be without Jimmy Butler. 7-point spread in favor of the Bucks. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I like the Pelicans yesterday getting the points, but obviously that game was canceled. I'm going to assume, though, Milwaukee was in town for that game, and it wasn't that Milwaukee couldn't get to the arena, is that they weren't comfortable with fans and it would be a big mess down there. So I'm assuming they went to New Orleans and flew back. So it's not as if they're like, you know what, we just went home and there was no big deal at this point. But they didn't play last night, which is a key indicator. And I always love this. Like, I don't think there's a galvanizing notion to the Miami Heat until Jimmy Butler is gone. Yeah. Now, he's suspended. He's not going to play in that game. That's one thing. But they're just waiting for the shoe to drop to try to move on. That's a great chance for me where the Bucks just absolutely splash them at home by double digits tonight.
Yeah, I would agree. 2-8 start to this year for Milwaukee before they got going in the NBA in-season competition. Won the NBA Cup, now 24-17. Winners of 7 of their last 8, 4 in a row. Covering, by the way, in all 4 of those wins. Over in 6 straight. I think it's a big day for Milwaukee. I would even keep an eye on that total for them really to pace the Heat. 9-game slate around the NBA tonight. Of course, that starts early over in Paris, 2:10 p.m. Eastern time, the tip between Indiana and San Antonio.